flooded waters because they've never seen it before. We don't want people to do that. Those flooded waters have all kinds of contaminants in them, and can make you very sick very quickly. So stay out of those flooded waters. And again, we don't want to put our Charlotte firefighters at risk having to go save folks. For here, we're working closely with all elected officials, and so we are Charlotte-Mecklenburg Emergency Management, so we have the city, the county, and then the 6 towns. We want you to take appropriate safety measures, and residents, particularly around Mountain Island Lake and along Lake Norman, Lake Wylie, and Catawba River, should be cautious and prepare now, because we are going to have to issue voluntary evacuation orders for Riverside Drive and Lake Drive, and so we're getting ready to issue those orders as we speak. Waterways may quickly overflow, and driving conditions could become hazardous, leading to some road closures. What you can do, of course, is plan, and we want you to always plan. We want you to have your favorite weather. Then we also want you to have multiple sources to review that weather. We want you to be prepared for rain, wind, and flooding here in Mecklenburg County. Update your emergency kit, as always, to have all your household needs. And I said this before, but I'll say it again. Sign up for CharMec Alerts, and you can do that by going to charmecalerts.com to receive emergency notifications. As I said before, we are getting ready to issue a voluntary evacuation order for Riverside Drive and Lake Drive near Mountain Island Lake. Floodwaters are predicted to rise. And so we're kind of not at the beginning of the storm, but we're in the first third of the storm. And so working with Duke Energy, they believe that they're going to have significant issues around that area. So we are going to issue volunteer evacuation orders. A reception center is being set up as we speak at the Tuckasegee Recreation Center at 4820 Tuckasegee Road in Charlotte, North Carolina. And if you are alone or unable to evacuate, contact local authorities at 704-336-2412. And of course, if it's an emergency, we want you to call 911. And in there, we are working with our affected residents as always, and I'm very proud of the staff here. This is really a all-inclusive governmental issue, and so we have city and county. Everybody immediately responds when we open the EOC, and we could not thank our partners enough for what they do. But I'm going to turn it over to John Wendell, who's going to talk about some stormwater issues. John? Thanks.
John Wendell, Senior Communications Specialist with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Stormwater Services. So far today, Mecklenburg County has received a wide variety of rainfall amounts. Eastern part of the county, about 1.5 inches, but the western part of the county, up to 4 inches of rain has already fallen just today. Lake Wylie Elementary School is close to 4.1 inches for the day. Mount Holly has received more than 4 inches of rain. So that's just today, and that's not on top of what we're going to get tonight and then for tomorrow. Most creeks right now have been receding a little bit. We had some heavier rain in the morning. They've been receding, but if we get some more rain for the next couple of hours, we may see those creeks come up once again. And then with the heavier rain tomorrow morning, we may see the creeks come up. So the creeks have been going up and down, but right now we have not seen any flooding to any homes along the creeks so far. So that's the good news there. Remember, turn around, don't drown. More people die from inland flooding than any other hazard in a tropical system, meaning people are either going around barriers or they're driving through high water. So turn around, don't drown. It really is important. As a matter of fact, the floodwaters there, again, can kill more people than just the wind or storm surge along with these tropical systems. Stay away from any creeks. Just 6 inches of moving water can knock a person over. A foot of moving water could push a car. So you want to stay away from those creeks. And as Mike mentioned, the contaminants in those creeks are bad as well. Report any blockages in the creeks to 311. We will not send a crew there until the creeks go down just for their safety. But as long as we know where those blockages are, we can get to them. You can get rainfall data. We have more than 70 rain gauges out there. We have stream height data that you could get, and we have cameras, 40 cameras out along some of the creeks. And you can get that information by going to our website, stormwater.charmec.org. And there'll be a tab that says rainfall and stream data. You click there, you'll get a map, and it'll show you all the different rain gauges across the county. And with all those rain gauges, there's going to be one near you, so it'll give you an idea of how much rain has fallen. But we'll be watching this very carefully along the Catawba River. Back in 2019, the flow was 106 feet above, or 6 feet above full pond. And if it gets any higher than that, we're going to see quite a bit of flooding and cause some damage and danger to people. So that's what we'll be watching for the next couple of days. One thing I also want to mention was folks on Mountain Island Lake itself. We had a lot of boats come off their docks during that last flood, and that may happen again, and they floated over the dam. So just be careful of that and be aware of that. Thank you.
Major J.D. Thomas, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. We just got some very simple asks for the public as we go into this weather emergency. Conditions are going to worsen throughout the next day and a half. And as calls for service go up, driving is going to become more difficult. We just ask the public, please limit your travel to only what is necessary. And as you heard previously, do not go past a barricade. Officers will be putting out barricades as we find flooded areas that are likely to happen overnight. Do not drive around these barricades. That is a road that has been deemed dangerous, and find an alternate route. Going through that can only lead to catastrophe or danger. We are adding staffing to tomorrow's events so that we are fully prepared to respond and assist CFD and emergency management in this weather emergency. Thank you.
Good evening, Damien Gonzalez with Medic. Just a few points here for the community. First of all, we wanted to ensure that Medic continuously plans for these emergencies. Our agency does this on an ongoing basis along with our police and fire partners. We are in continuous communication with those partners, and we train together for situations like this. We have the infrastructure secured to withstand the challenges ahead of us, including maintaining our 911 call center, and we have increased our fuel surplus for our fleet. Our staffing levels have been supplemented with overtime, and we are prepared to rise and meet any demand which occurs in the next couple of days. We are also in contact with our state partners, have already fulfilled requests for assistance in our western counties, as well as stand ready to provide additional assistance as needed and requested. Few safety reminders from a medical standpoint. Ensure that you are checking on your neighbors, especially those who have medical conditions. Those who require oxygen and medication should have plans in place to supply themselves for the next couple of days. Those who are dependent on power should make plans to be in a place that is not at risk of this flooding, which will likely impact the power of your home. We also want to remind the community to dial 911 only in case of an emergency. When you are presented with a situation that is not necessarily an emergency, you can dial 311 for further information, such as clogged storm drains, down trees, and other things not affecting public safety. However, if there is a serious situation which is unexpected and has become dangerous, requiring immediate action, please call 911 and we will respond quickly. We appreciate the support of all of our partners, and we couldn't do this without each and every one of you. So we look forward to the continued participation over the couple days ahead of us, and we urge all of you to make good choices and be safe out there, and Medic will be there if you need us. Thank you.
At this time, we will take questions from any of our media partners who have joined us virtually. Please raise your hand in the chat and we'll be sure to call on you.
We might be experiencing a few technical difficulties. Will give us one moment to make sure we're not overlooking anyone in the chat. All right, hearing no questions coming from the chat, if there are any questions in the near future regarding impacts of Hurricane Helene in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area, please feel free to reach out to City of Charlotte Media Relations or Charlotte-Mecklenburg Emergency Management Communication Teams, and we'll be sure to respond to you immediately. Thank you all for joining us again. We encourage all residents to follow us on our social media as well as our websites for the latest updates. Thank you for joining us.